This guy is one of the most deadly warriors in the kingdom, and he is now working as a guard for a child with a terminal illness, who doesn't even have mana in his body. When the child tried to force his way out of the room, the warrior had to release his killing aura, the same one that made his worst enemies tremble with fear. But the child simply passed through it as if it were nothing. But how was that even possible? How could the most respected warrior in the mansion fail to stop a child? This child is 𝐂𝐨𝐧𝐭𝐚𝐭𝐨, and he was born destined to die. In this world, mana is like water and everyone needs it just to stay alive. 𝐂𝐿 was starving for mana, and because of that, he would die before turning 20. But what no one mentioned is that this child was the reincarnation of the #1 player, who spent 10 years in the game, someone who knows every secret of this world, including the fate of 𝐂𝐿. He knows that he will not die from his illness, but from the monsters of the rebellion in his own territory. A rebellion that his own brother Adolf will start. 𝐂𝐿 belongs to one of the most respected swordsman families in the kingdom, but he had absolutely no talent for it. Even with the player knowing everything about the story, he had no idea what to do to change it. So he begins to lose control, taking out all his anger on the maids, until his father had no choice but to lock him in his room, knowing that his family will be destroyed. With no talent for swords or magic, no real chance, and still locked in his room. Yeah, the universe really took it personally this time. With his fate already sealed, a light appears behind him with several glowing magical orbs floating around. He is confused because he never saw anything like it in the game before. Not knowing what to do, he reaches out and touches one of the orbs, which triggers a bunch of system notifications and opens his game profile. He discovers talents that he didn't even know existed because he spent years inside that game. He gained knowledge, secrets, and even knows about the catastrophes that are to come. He has everything it takes to become the most powerful mage in history. He begins to train by shaping mana into sharp energy bursts and firing them straight at the wall. Little by little, the energy flows through his blocked channels, managing to eliminate the disease that was killing him at 20, and now he is finally free. Meanwhile, in the palace kitchen, a girl named 𝐂𝐨𝐵 tries to deliver a meal to the young master. The other maids refuse to serve 𝐂𝐿 as a way of protesting against his behavior. When 𝐂𝐿 decides to do her job anyway, one of her colleagues knocks the plate from her hands and hits her. The scene is interrupted by the arrival of Leon, a respected noble in the mansion who orders the meal to be remade and delivered. Meanwhile, 𝐂𝐿 was in his room, thinking about how to change the fate of the Marcus family with these two new talents. When 𝐂𝐿 finally arrives at 𝐂𝐿's room with the food still hot, 𝐂𝐿 uses his perception ability and discovers that she has multiple talents. He's even more impressed when he discovers that she has a high-level talent. A memory from a year ago unlocks. He discovers that 𝐂𝐿 was bought by 𝐂𝐿 for 2 𝐿 at an auction. In the end, he freed her from slavery, giving her her freedom, and the girl, touched by the freedom given to her, promised to follow him wherever he would go. Now 𝐂𝐿 realizes how valuable she is. In the original game, 𝐂𝐿 never existed as a character because she was already dead in the rebellion before finding any player. He decides to change that by telling her that he will teach her to use her talent. 𝐂𝐿 is thrilled to hear this, and it made her affection for him grow even more. Days later, 𝐂𝐿 received permission to leave his room to absorb all the mana particles from outside. Leon wants to be punished for using killing intent against 𝐂𝐿, but Kay forgives him and says there is no need for that. Leon went to tell his master, and the two ended up arguing, trying to figure out how this boy became strong enough to resist an experienced warrior. Leon went to talk to 𝐂𝐿, but he was still meditating, looking like a Buddha. So he went and told 𝐂𝐿's father that he was already meditating for 6 hours straight. The old man began to remember the days when they used to train, when 𝐂𝐿 couldn't even last 10 minutes before giving up. And now he is meditating for 6 hours straight. Definitely something is different about this boy. The next day, Kay wakes up with mana gushing from his body. Trying to spread this mana throughout his body, he begins to push it forward, breaking through all barriers until he finally reaches his heart. And so, he becomes able to use magic. In this world, to be able to use magic, you need to form a magic circle inside your heart. With the goal of learning to use magic, he goes to his family's library. The woman in charge of the place is completely shocked because she has never seen him there before. She begins to ask what happened, but 𝐂𝐿 was already rummaging through every shelf, tearing through books one by one, looking for something about how to form a magic circle. After spending some time destroying the library, when he finally finds an introductory book on magic, upon reading it, he realizes that the language is completely different from anything he knows. A system notification appears informing him that his spiritual vision ability has been activated. With this ability, he was able to translate the book into a language that he can actually understand. With the translation completed, he can finally learn magic. Because of this, there is no need to stay there any longer than necessary. In seconds, the boy devours the books and asks for even more beginner titles. Being smart, he decides to rent them all and take them to his room in the palace. This is the last batch of orders, and he fills the entire room with papers. It's so strange that the blonde guy asks if everything is okay because he has never seen the boy read before. The redhead is very worried. too many orders came at once, and she is afraid that something tragic is about to happen. After all, the boy used to hate reading, and suddenly he is showing an interest she has never seen. When he sees the boy studying basic principles of magic, the warrior remembers his mana illness. The boy, being perceptive of what the man is about to say, comments that magic is hard to learn, but he has reason. And everyone in that house must think that what the boy is doing now is super bizarre, since he is the infamous boy of the family. It wouldn't surprise anyone if he acted strange from time to time, but he remembers what he said before. He doesn't want to die young, and he has to try things. He has to try everything. Motivated, he says he will do what he can to solve this cursed condition. Then, his plan is to lie down a bit and read as much as he can while resting. The young lord that the warrior remembers is completely different now. He remembers a time when the boy cried after swordsmanship class. He said his father told him that he didn't need someone weak like him at that time. He was just a weak, crybaby boy who couldn't handle any problems. Suddenly, the protagonist notices that his friend gained a new favorite status. Apparently, they are getting much closer now, and the god stays outside so as not to disturb. Things are changing between them, and maybe it's because he started studying. Maybe devouring a ton of books at once counts as persistence in this world. Now that the god is gone, the boy is finally alone with his mountain of books. Now, he can really start reading for real, using his insight magic. As if by magic, all the books begin to be decoded at the same time, insanely fast. Yeah, the speed of his ability is insane. It's 12 times faster than reading normally. On top of that, the difficult parts are being saved in their own separate folder. Over time, the principles of circle formation are digitized and stored in the database. His understanding grows as the books are decoded little by little. Now, using the decoded data, his plan is to create a magic circle. With the basics learned, he finally meets the minimum requirements to form one. Guiding his mana along that golden path, he manages to create what he desires, focusing as much as he can. He uses all his blue power to move the magic in his chest. The process is painful and brutal, as if his heart is about to burn. Even so, he has to endure until the end. Otherwise, the mana will return to his body in a horrible way and damage his organs. The magic begins to go out of control, exploding books all over the room as he holds on a little longer. After a ton of effort, he finally manages to form his first mana circle, weakening the blocked mana channels. Now his mana is no longer trapped inside his body. It is flowing out, stronger than ever. He is thrilled to have achieved his goal and be able to use magic as he pleases. Then he realizes it's already morning, and he spent the whole night doing this without even noticing. He barely has time to think that his friend will be mad about this before passing out. The next morning, the girl brings the boy's breakfast and finds him unconscious on the floor. She is totally shocked and tries to wake him up, while also trying to understand the mess with all the books. In just one night, the protagonist used all the mana he had been accumulating for days to form that circle, and from now on, a whole new life as the mage has finally begun for him. Chapter 7. In the kitchen, the maid is cheerfully preparing a delicious meal. She did this because last time she was praised for it, and it made her master happy. This time, the other girls want to be chosen to deliver the plate to the lord, so they change their tune suddenly and say that the boy is their responsibility and that they need to go back to the original agreement now that the master's personality is much better. The girl says that if there is any complaint about the work, they can talk to the protagonist. Ignoring all of them, she walks away, leaving them with nothing to say. Before leaving, the envious one retorts, basically saying that she is nobody important. Back in bed, the boy enjoys his meal of seasoned meats. The recipe was adjusted since last time to be even more flavorful each day, because he has been training hard every day. He also learned some other recipes from the head chef. Also, the boy wants to know how things are going with spiritual magic. To start, he needs the introductory book for that style of magic. And the girl is very smart. She has already read half of the material without any magical help. From what he has read so far, it seems she comes from a working family and learns steadily over time. To her credit, she is quite talented, but still not enough. Closing the book, he says he still doesn't have time and needs to get stronger to learn more. In 2 months, the family will hold the succession ceremony, and something will happen on that day. A coup led by the second son, Adolf, will topple the Marquis family. If they don't want to die in the rebellion, everyone needs to get stronger, especially her. From now on, he orders someone else to take care of kitchen work, while she focuses more on studies. But she says she will work hard at both, because she doesn't want anyone taking care of and serving her master except her. And crying heavily, she begs to be allowed to keep doing this instead of leaving it to the others. This surprises the young man, and he understands her side. Her family fell apart, and she went from noble to slave overnight. She even lost contact with family on other continents, not knowing if they were alive or dead. Her life is finally starting to feel stable again, and she got disoriented when she found out she had to study spiritual magic. She probably thinks that if she doesn't do her job well, she will be kicked out of the mansion. But he reassures her again, saying she's the person he trusts to be in charge. He says he doesn't abandon anyone, and he always protects the people who are his. And he promises he didn't ask her to study these things without a very important reason. Her skills are so good and so careful that if she keeps working hard, she will be promoted to head maid. But there are many workers in the mansion who could replace her at any moment, so he asks if she's curious about what will happen if she trains in this art. Mages with this type of skill are extremely respected and super rare anywhere in the world. If she studies, she will become an incredible mage, and everyone will respect her. And by then, there won't be any NPC who can replace her in that field. I'm incredible. And even she is not sure if she can do it. Handing her the book she needs, the man says she will become the greatest of all time. She accepts the gift with a hug, believes in her lord, and decides to give it her all. Now their relationship has risen even further to 60. After this, the girl is appointed as the master's personal maid so they can study together. While taking care of the boy's personal needs, she moves into a private room. From now on, this will be her new space where she can study and train in peace. It's much better for security, and she doesn't have to worry about the other envious girls. She loves it because now she's much closer to her lord's room. Together, the two decide to work hard and survive, no matter what happens. While she was studying in her room, she would watch the boys strolling through the garden. Every time the two met, they liked each other more, and their relationship improved. Later, the warrior has to hear some urgent news. It turns out to be about the great Lord Adolf, who discovered that his younger brother changed. He has gotten much stronger lately and has been training every day. Besides focusing on magical studies, his personality improved a lot too, and he is no longer annoying. Realizing that his brother has finally matured, he thinks he should show up for a little visit as the older brother. And Chapter 8. The boy's morning walks always include a moment to see his friend. This time, he plans to go somewhere out of sight. He says it's all to perform a magic experiment. They head to a location outside the kingdom territory, hidden by dense trees. While he trains, his friend has to make sure no one gets close so their secret isn't revealed. The blonde guy looks worried because his friend shouldn't be training with that illness. But the current Lord Kyle is totally different and can actually control energy. He fires a powerful magic missile at a tree in front of him. The explosion is so big that both are shocked by the power and talent. The attack even destroys the tree, making it clear the test worked. The sound was so loud it could have been heard from the mansion, but the aura muffled the noise. The blonde's quick reflexes came at the perfect moment to protect their secret. Kyle says he formed his first magic circle a few days ago by following the instructions in the book he borrowed, and with that, using aura, he managed to overcome the disease that used to hinder him every day. Showing off the magic with a smile, he says he doesn't plan to die young. Finally, the man understands what seemed different about his friend these past few days. He congratulates his younger brother on curing himself with his own intellect. Their relationship improves as you would expect from someone who respects perseverance. But that magic missile is still first circle and shouldn't be anywhere near as strong as a brute's punch. The strange thing is that the power seems more like a 4th level circle. It's crazy that he unlocked a 4th level ability, even though he's the beginner mage. Maybe the boy is a prodigy who was never noticed before. Thanks to his ability, he managed to read all the books in the library and saved months of study to form the first circle. While studying, a question arose. Why is magic different from the original game? And here he needs to draw a ritual first, then deal with difficult equations to activate the spell. In the game, magic was much simpler. You just made a symbol and the mana kicked in. But his magic is not friendly at all and is way too strong. This is a big problem because now is not the time to reveal who he really is. So he asks his friend to keep it a secret between the two of them. But the way the boy handles this makes their relationship worse because the man doesn't like this kind of thing. Or the reason is that he doesn't want people to know how strong he is, and he remembers that the rebellion will happen in 2 months. This makes the blonde scared when he remembers the succession ceremony. Traditionally, the family chooses the successor based on competence. They also observe personality, talent with the sword, and other factors. Based on this, everyone is judged, and then it's time to choose the most promising heir. At the moment, there are 2 main candidates with the most buzz around them. One is the oldest son, the great Abel, and the second son, the cruel and calculating Adolf. The oldest is the Marquis's legitimate son and the most famous candidate. He is kind by nature and has excellent sword skills trained since childhood. Adolf, on the other hand, is also legitimate, but he was completely ignored because his brother was more talented. At some point while growing up though, his skills skyrocketed and he gained many supporters. Honestly, he gives off a gang leader vibe. When they see each other, they immediately start taking subtle jabs as if pretending the other isn't even there. The Golden Knight says he was so lost in thought that he didn't even notice them arriving, but this excuse is hard to swallow since he has had a strong aura since age 5, and that's just a little childhood story and not worth repeating. Meanwhile, the middle brother only awakened his aura at age 15, quite late. In this world, it's normal for some people to bloom late and start magical training much later. Suddenly, a fight breaks out among the cruel guy's followers. This really annoys him because he knows he can't disrespect his father's house rules. In a friendly way, Abel says that his brother's subordinates are well trained and worthy of serving a potential heir. The tension between the two only increases because the middle brother says they can laugh all they want, because they won't be laughing much longer. And when he leaves, that last sentence sounds very suspicious and starts to seem disturbing. While eating, the protagonist worries about the ceremony that will happen in 2 months. Protagonist. This territory doesn't follow the rule that the firstborn inherits everything. It chooses its heirs. And the most important criteria for being chosen are strength and rank. There's only one exception. The young master, because of his illness, he was removed from the succession from the beginning. Besides him, his third oldest brother, the Duke, also cannot get involved in these schemes. So now it basically comes down to the oldest brothers, Abel and Adolf. There's not much time left until the ceremony, and they won't be able to make any big moves before then. And there's no telling what might happen if the protagonist's powers are discovered. In the future, there are only two possible reactions. Either they try to turn him into an ally, or they try to crush him as fast as possible. It's extreme, but throughout history, there have been bloodbaths during succession fights. According to the game's story, the middle brother would definitely try to get rid of the hero, and from the beginning he planned to eliminate the entire family so he could rule. So, the protagonist's current goal is to overcome his illness and try to build alliances with good people. In front of him, Leon understands that mages need to hide their abilities to protect themselves. But after this incident, he will definitely report the protagonist's abilities to the family head. At the moment, the warrior swears loyalty to the Marquis rather than the young master, but the hero plans to do something for his friend. This leaves the blonde worried, not sure if the protagonist is really serious about this mage thing, and he knows his father would be super proud if he found out his youngest son is getting stronger. Thanks to this conversation, their relationship improves greatly, and the protagonist discovers that eating together increases relationships between characters. So he plans for them to eat together every day. From now on, night falls, and the boy continues studying his rituals non-stop. If he activates them using magic, he can gain power fast, like insanely fast. But he doesn't understand why the game's method is making him stronger like this. At some point, he will definitely have to show his powers to other people. Mana activation in this world is slow and hard to master, but to control his power more precisely, he starts thinking of some methods. Using certain advantages and strategies, he can combine the two and gain a lot of power. The problem is, it's very dangerous, and a magical explosion could happen right there. Still, he can keep going and try, because he knows it's not totally impossible. The risk is definitely high, but the reward is too, and he won't get anywhere in life if he never puts himself in danger once in a while. Suddenly, his mana begins to gush from his body, firing wildly around the room. Things get pretty dangerous, and he receives a bunch of explosion warnings. Even so, he follows the plan and begins to analyze and activate these sequences, managing to combine the paths to cause serious damage. Inside his room, he creates a new type of magic, something totally new and really powerful. This time, he manages to combine the activation and create a magic missile. Now that the base of the process is ready, he wants to try to gain even more power, but then the danger becomes real, and the explosions attract attention. At that moment, a maid passes by nearby, worried and wanting to check if her master is okay. Luckily, the boy is fine, but the room now has a hole in the wall. A smarter plan would definitely be to do this type of experiment outside the house. Maybe that's why the notifications keep popping up and he needs to set up a workshop to train. Well, at that moment, the warrior appears, scared by the noise. In the kitchen, the soup tastes kinda weird. No salt, bland, boring. Oh, suddenly, another maid notices that the soup is being made by the hard-working girl. It's Daisy, one of her friends and a very kind person, but the girl is afraid to approach because her last interactions with the maids were bad. Daisy's different from the others and gives her tips on how to season the food better. She talks about an ingredient that gives a rich, delicious flavor. When she tastes the seasoned food, the girl is surprised by how good it is. Seeing that Daisy is chill, she asks Daisy to teach her some cooking techniques. Luckily, her friend is happy to have that little learning moment together. The two go together to deliver the food and end up talking about the Lord. On the way, Daisy admits she got worried when she heard he wanted a maid just for himself. Luckily, the protagonist has been acting much more honorably lately and is not a bad person. While he studies, he finds out that Daisy asked how he was doing. As they agreed, 𝐂𝐨𝐧𝐿 doesn't say anything about her friend's current condition. Daisy is praised for doing a good job and for making the right decision. He thought the impatient one would have made a move already, but the rope is longer than it seems. Being impatient is exactly what you would expect from the middle brother. It's obvious he's rushing things so he can carry out his evil plans. In his office, the Marquis completely loses his mind when he finds out his son overcame the illness. There stands Leon, reporting that the boy has been studying magic. He even managed to achieve the first circle, even without any talent. This leaves the family head stunned, not believing how this miracle happened. After all, he remembers the protagonist with terrible health and basically living depressed because of it. The two fought a lot and argued as if they were enemies. In a really horrible moment, the boy hears his own father say he never wanted a son like this, someone who only caused problems. You can tell the man clearly regrets saying things like that in the heat of the moment. To overcome that illness, you would need an abnormal and crazy talent for magic. And that kind of thing only appears when you're 5 years old. Maybe this is the only known case of someone achieving it at 13. And there is no doubt that Kyle overcame his problems, since he can even manipulate magic. This is definitely an amazing miracle, and the boy probably still holds a grudge against his father, but the warrior says there is no grudge. Actually, it's the opposite. The boy even said he wanted to talk to the family head personally because he is basically imprisoned at home and wants the Marquise's permission to go out, and he insists that his father knows he wants to meet one-on-one. From this, the man concludes there can be no resentment between them now. This cheers up the devastated father who can finally meet his son. Well, at that moment, the boy appears dressed elegantly to meet the Marquis. Chapter 11, he is the head of the respected swordsman family, which has protected the border from monsters for generations. One of only 5 swordmasters in the entire continent. And last and most important, the protagonist's father. Getting close to him makes the boy's hands start shaking for no obvious reason, but his body still remembers the resentment and fear he used to feel. He remembers the time when they trained with swords and he was scolded, and they argued repeatedly. Being so weak, he couldn't even lift the wooden sword. It was too heavy. That was a disappointment for his swordsman family, which had never had such a weak child for a long time. He felt useless since he couldn't use swords and thought he would be abandoned. All these feelings hit the protagonist hard because he remembers everything at once. This memory belongs to the original owner of this body, the prince. But since their souls became intertwined, the feelings also connected. Luckily, the person in control now is not the coward he used to be, because besides being the boy, he is also Lei, an adult in real life. His job is to prove that 𝐂𝐨𝐴 deserves respect. The two finally meet, and this strange silence settles. Apparently, the hero had something he wanted to say to his father at that meeting. The rules were clear. He couldn't leave the room without permission. Since he had been studying lately, he was allowed to go to the library, but he couldn't cause problems. The hero doesn't trust his father at all, considering all the problems that happened before. Even so, his father is one of the most powerful men on the continent and a scary opponent. Things are difficult, and the only option is to deal with it through direct negotiation. In the past, he would have lost his mind and answered sharply, but now he seems much more mature. He has already caused too many problems for his father, and his past is weighing on him. So he is seriously thinking, and now he has a chance to change. After so many years of fighting, the boy finally apologized for how he acted. Also, the smart boy also wants to make a deal with the Marquis. Everyone already knows that the former sick boy managed to overcome the disease that was destroying him, and this is a great miracle. Hard to believe even in a fantasy world like this. The protagonist's power is unusual, and he mixes different circles. He creates a fireball to prove he is a first circle mage. Even after hearing the warrior's story, the father still didn't believe it, but the moment he sees it with his own eyes, everything changes. He got so strong that he can actually feel the mana running through his veins, growing more and more. You know that mages who manage to overcome that illness have insane potential. In this world, a powerful mage is worth the same as an entire order of knights. And although his family is known for swordsmen, having a strong mage on the front lines would be a huge advantage too. If the family supports this plan, everyone can benefit from these skills. An army that combines elite swordsmen with exceptional mages would be stronger than anything else on the continent. This deal benefits the family, and obviously the boy too. His talent is worth the investment and development. In life, everything revolves around winning, and the Marquis values profit and honor above all. Trying to use the family bond card wouldn't work, and he's fully capable of making cold-blooded decisions for the good of the family. But if their interests align, even an unstable relationship can turn into cooperation. Now things will be resolved between two intelligent adults. The old man can't even tell if that boy is really the son he knew, because he no longer acts like a child. He seems to have grown up. So he asked them to invest in a talent as rare as his. The negotiation went so well that he found out exactly what the other side wanted and used it to bargain. He got exactly what he wanted, using his power and authority. It's crazy to see a boy who used to burn books talk like that. A child who was once seen as a disappointment to the family has grown and improved. Now that he's considered valuable, they will provide funding along with magic stones for his studies. But seriously, he needs to prove his worth and not disappoint his father. Some days pass, and his friends go to his room. Everything is much more luxurious now, and there is a personal workshop for mages. The interior was reinforced with a magical barrier on the walls. Also, the place is stocked with all kinds of tools, potions, and artifacts. The warrior is stunned because it must have cost a ridiculous amount of money. Luckily, his dear daddy was more than happy to pay every penny. It's unexpected that grumpy man was won over by his own son's charm. Ursula is surprised too, because it's hard to use spiritual magic freely inside the room. Yeah, that's why her friend prepared a separate space for it. The place was equipped with anti-vibration devices, so she can practice freely, and she has permission to use the workshop whenever she wants to study, because the protagonist wants her to become his right hand in the future, not just as a maid, but as an unprecedented spiritual mage. This makes her cry a lot, since she already works every day without rest. Her goal is to learn everything she can and become someone useful. Their relationship grows even more, and everything seems fine. Suddenly, some stones start to glow, catching the girl's attention. The spiritual circle is reacting and seems out of control. soul. A strange type of light comes out of the ritual, forming an incomplete spirit, and honestly, it's super cute. He immediately befriends the maid who accidentally attracted him. It seems she summoned him by mistake, just by walking near the workshop. That little mascot really matches the girl's talents. It's amazing, because this technique requires a different type of magic. Her emotions probably helped the spiritual stone respond and create that mascot. The stones had just been bought and were now used instantly. There's no way the boy could have expected this to happen so early in the story. Also, this being is high level and cannot be identified with perception. Although it's tiny, its power is so high that it's impossible to read with human abilities. His name is Ash, and he seems to be an ancient spirit of light. This shocks the boy. He didn't expect that cute little thing to be so powerful. Elder spirits are basically the highest level there is, and they are some of the hardest things to summon. His size is not impressive, but apparently this is not his real form. If he returned to his normal size, the entire mansion would collapse. He wants to make a contract with the girl so they can be friends from now on. For this, they need strong compatibility between them. The elder spirit agrees and begins the ritual to seal this powerful friendship contract. The maid agrees too, signing her part and gaining an ally. When it finishes, she has to choose a name for her new pet. The hero suggests one, and she decides to call him Pikachu. This is the boy's latest prank, calling him Pikachu. From now on, this will be his name, and she's very happy to have him as a friend. The talent development project is going very well and really working. Some days pass, and the mansion wakes up to a new morning once again. The warrior admits he hasn't been paying much attention to his protege the way an older brother should, and then it's revealed that standing before him is Adolf, someone he hasn't seen in a very long time. Chapter 13. The two brothers are having a meeting with the maid serving them. The gang leader recognizes the girl. She's the same one who was sold as a slave at the market a long time ago. He compliments her, saying she's pretty, and finds it funny that she ended up as a maid. In a rude way, he asks for her to be sent to his house. He's definitely there because he heard the news about the cured illness. And he starts the conversation on the wrong foot, but the hero doesn't want to leave her there and asks if someone else can be chosen instead of her. To get out of the situation easily, he needs to act in a totally different way. In the end though, it's just teasing. Would the man really not take someone else's maid home? Still, the boy realizes he'll have to give in for now because he can't afford to ruin the relationship yet. The boy really improved, but he still seems like a lost cause since he's too interested in young women. So the gang leader's plan is to corrupt him and drag him into darkness. His body has recovered a lot and he no longer has problems in daily life. He was cured and keeps getting better every day. Even so, he's not 100% yet since it was a very old illness and hard to cure all at once. At that moment, the protagonist shows a spell he created that's stronger than the original. This sparks the manipulator's interest since he likes the idea of creating new magic. Even without being at his peak, he is still growing fast even though he's just a first circle student. The Lord's behavior has changed drastically and his skills keep improving day after day. The news that the maid brought seemed exaggerated, but for a 13-year-old boy, it's not something to worry about. It would be much more useful to pressure him and use him in other ways before getting rid of him. Straight to the point, he asks his younger brother if he wants to join his side in the competition. This surprises even the protagonist, who didn't expect to receive a choice like that. And after staring at each other for a while, things happen exactly the way the smart one planned. Because of this, he will get their father's permission, and he thanks him for the trust. Well, at that moment, the warrior appears and wishes Adolf a safe trip. Leon is hard to manipulate and still hasn't switched sides in the game. It's kind of funny to think that the son of a great warrior is protecting a spoiled brat, and this makes things between them even weirder when Adolf leaves. Finally, the protagonist enters the room after his brother's discussion ends. He explains that he will probably deal with Viscount Jerome, one of the closest allies of the 5th Legion. His friend is shocked to hear that this would be his first loyalty mission. He doesn't want to let him go alone and offers to join the subjugation team too. But this is part of a strategy to gain the crime boss's trust, and he can't bring his father's allies. This is definitely a trap to test how useful the protagonist is in real combat. Luckily, from now on, he can protect himself using the magic he created. Even so, he decides he won't use his full magical potential. So he asks about a settlement in the forest far away. To the south of the territory, there is a monster colony. Regularly, the Marquis sends soldiers to subjugate these enemies. This time, Lord Kyle looks like a full-fledged mage, ready to set off on the mission. Finally, a man dismounts from a horse, Viscount Jerome. He's an ally of the crime boss and will be on the same team as the protagonist on this mission. Since it's his first real fight, he needs to be very careful and be protected when necessary. Their relationship is very bad, and the guy is clearly only doing this as a favor. Even so, they set off and don't talk much. The Viscount's orders are to observe the boy and judge how skilled he is in combat, but he doesn't believe that a weakling like that can do much while carrying a dangerous illness in his body. During the fight, the boy fires lightning spells at the goblins in front of him. The hit is perfect. One shot is enough to eliminate the entire group. This impresses the team and improves things with everyone, who end up pretty happy. The mission ends quickly, and it was the easiest subjugation they've had in a good while, thanks to the hero. He had never seen anything so easy before, and his reputation skyrockets fast, reaching level 90. Of course, Lord Adolf will be very happy when he hears how well the younger brother did. Now, the plan is to move on to the next step he has in mind. Chapter 14. Back at the camp, everyone is celebrating the victory thanks to the boy. In an innocent way, he says he doesn't deserve the praise because he didn't do anything that impressive. The soldiers admit they had the wrong idea about the young master and start praising his skills. And besides being good in a fight, he also didn't complain about the camp food. He seems much more mature than his age. Thinking about how his brother used to take on dangerous missions like this, he realizes he can't act like a spoiled brat when it's his turn. The men are shocked to see that the boy admires the crime boss so much. The plan is going exactly as expected. The soldiers like the protagonist now, and they are ready to speak well of him. While everyone else sleeps, the adventurer decides to take a walk not too far from the camp. Since he's just a child, no one suspects anything, and everyone believes the innocent act. After today's victory, the knights are completely exhausted and collapse into their beds. Only a few guards remain, and they are exhausted too, barely paying attention. Now he will try to eliminate some ogres and gain as much XP as possible, like he used to do. In his pocket, he pulls out a perfume that can attract these giants from up to 10 kilometers away. A few days before, he realized he was the first person in the world to create a scent that attracts these creatures without following any existing recipe. The better the quality and smell, the more monsters he attracts at once. The problem is that the team was supposed to be hunting goblins, and ogres are too strong to face without a plan. The squad has 12 experienced knights, and they can handle weak enemies, but giants are a totally different story. Although they are loyal to the crime boss, their individual skills are pretty mediocre. They are basically cannon fodder. They are street criminals who became a legion after being convinced by that traitor guy. The brainwashing was so intense that it turned them into fanatics, and his influence spread easily because of it. These people obey blindly, and with every move their master makes, a tragedy could happen. So the protagonist plans to weaken the 5th Legion as much as possible before the day of succession. To start, he will force those 12 fighters to battle a powerful ogre to the bitter end, and he plans to be the only one left alive after this deadly fight. As soon as he activates the scent, it doesn't take long for a 2-headed creature to appear, attracted by the perfume spreading through the surrounding forest. The warriors, already tired, are caught off guard by the giant, who eliminates their companions with ease. One of the very brave men begs them not to run yet. Unfortunately, his end is brutal, and it quickly becomes obvious that running is the best option. He was one of the strongest soldiers in the team. Now only the mid-level guys remain, and they can't do much. Trying to cheer everyone up, he asks if this is really how honorable warriors would act in a fight. If they fail this mission, those ogres will definitely advance into allied territory and massacre the people. Taking command, he makes everyone agree to follow his orders from now on. He says Viscount Jerome is a high-level warrior and says he can handle it alone, but the protagonist doesn't want help. He will stay until the end, giving support with magic. He knows he wouldn't be able to face his brother again if he abandoned his men in battle. So he casts a spell, strengthening the warrior even more with his abilities. It's only first circle magic. He manages to control the situation for now without causing much damage yet. Still, he will face the fight head-on without backing down from fear. The Viscount knows that Kyle is an essential tool for the army and already trusts him a lot. Activating the powerful ability of his sword, he prepares to take down any ogre that approaches. He charges straight at the 2-headed ogre, ready to rip both heads off with his blade. The other soldiers, seeing that no one is panicking, can't show their pathetic side, so they also get fired up. The protagonist tells his men to give everything they've got in this brutal fight, and it's working perfectly because the ogres he summoned will finish off the weaker soldiers. The attraction perfume is a success. He even managed to call creatures up to 3 times stronger than normal, and this is exactly where part of the 5th Legion will meet its end. Chapter 15. He feels so powerful that he thinks he can defeat the ogre alone. He lands a heavy blow on one of the twin heads, and they go on alert immediately, and everyone is impressed by the aerial fight between the two. Almost all of the strongest knights have already fallen, and the weaker troops are starting to panic, watching everything from a distance. The little psychopath is happy to see his scheme working. Without lifting a finger, he will eliminate every enemy easily. Without realizing it, he handed this job over to the giant ogre, who will do it with his own fists. Jerome wonders if they can really win this battle and begins to think that maybe it's time for the last resort. He received a power from darkness to get stronger, and if he unleashes it, he can never return to normal. If this happens, he will transform into a furious monster with no humanity left. That's why this power should never be wasted on some random weak enemy. He will definitely be able to defeat the ogre, but he will never have peace from the beast's fury. But maybe that's still better than dying as a loser to an ogre. From a distance, Kyle says he will provide magical protection. This gives the Viscount more confidence, and he feels motivated by the Mage, saying it's still too early to use the last resort. Kaio activates a mental cleanse on his friends. Suddenly everyone feels a burst of energy, and they start to believe they are the best of the 5th Legion. Giving everything they have, they want to show their true strength. While they fight, the protagonist watches everything from a distance, paying close attention. In just a few seconds, everyone starts to fall, being eliminated by the great beast. The priority was to eliminate the 12 knights, and now only Jerome is left. Their sacrifice will not be in vain, and he asks for one more support spell to finish off the mutant once and for all. Moving the pieces like pawns, he channels even more mana to complete the plan, and he activates a type of power that begins to wrap around him in purple forms. Immobilized by the claws, all he can do is look forward and face his opponent. The ogre is right in front of him, and its eyes glow with happiness, and using only one hand, it will finish the man off once and for all, brutally. In front of all the soldiers, their leader is crushed and gone forever. This throws everyone into chaos, because they all think they are about to die. Fire begins to surround the beast's body, and it screams in pain. Then, right in front of everyone, it collapses on the ground, already dead. Finishing the fight, the young master climbs on top of the enemy. From inside it, he pulls out a high-value crystal, and now it's time to make a very suspicious move. He starts lying, saying that thanks to the Viscount, he took down the enemy. This victory belongs to the 12 brave warriors, and to everyone who fought for their own lives, so they start praising the Lord who won on the battlefield. The results of this subjugation were a success, and the two-headed mutant was eliminated. They also eliminated dozens of goblins, which was the original goal, and unfortunately they suffered heavy casualties during the battle. Hearing the news, the evil blonde guy can't believe it and asks if it's true. They explain that Jerome ended up dying in a brutal fight against a mutant in the forest. The strike was so fast that he didn't even have time to use the power of darkness. Losing that man is a huge blow to the squad, not to mention all the dead soldiers. There's nothing more to do, and they want to somehow recover that ogre from the camp. Only then does he say he's relieved to see that his brother returned safely. After all, defeating such a strong enemy was the young man's great achievement. Because of this, their father will be informed, and everyone will receive the honors they deserve. The mask that the protagonist wears, the innocent brother act, begins to slip for Adolf, who leaves irritated and suspicious. But for now, it seems the brother is still being fooled quite easily. The protagonist managed to gain his brother's recognition and defeated the 5th Legion. It was a masterstroke, and he jokes that maybe it counts as killing 2 birds with 1 stone. A mutant is no big deal, since the warrior could defeat one alone without help, and jokingly, he says he only intended to look weak in the beginning. It seems he really wants to get closer to his evil brother's side without telling Abel anything. This is all part of the plan, and in the future he will be recognized and they will come looking for him. Some days later, a meeting takes place in the family conference room. At this meeting, they will review the results of the expedition and decide how to divide the spoils. Also, the young man's contributions will be discussed for the first time in that inner circle, and if anyone has any objection, they can speak freely. One of the barons thinks this is exaggerated, since in the past the boy was just a weak nobody. Awkwardly, he says he likes the boy, but he's not sure if he should say what he really thinks. It turns out the boy is still just a first circle mage, basically a beginner. Even so, the baron thinks most of his achievements are being exaggerated just because he participated and came back alive. And he concludes by saying it's hard to believe that the protagonist suddenly matured overnight. He reminds everyone of all the problems the children caused before. In the past, Kyle could only smile while people talked badly about him right to his face. Clearly, the barons have never had to face a real wolf before making a judgment like that. When they arrive at the hall, the protagonist says it's not as easy as it seems, and you have to see it with your own eyes. Defending his brother, Abel says that even strong knights would have difficulty defeating a two-headed creature. Some people retort by saying it only happened because the knights gave their lives to protect the boy. Still, the final blow was Kyle's, something confirmed by the witnesses who survived. Unlike before, the boy is focused on studying magic now, and the baron should put his personal problems aside. Irritated, Adolf tells the man to stop trying to ruin everything. Still supporting his brother, he threatens him and says not to cross the line. Suddenly, everyone seems eager to defend the boy, now that he's starting to show real value. At that moment, the evil brother agrees that Kay's reward should include a huge amount of money. After all, the warriors saw the boy's brutal fight and have no doubts about what he did. Because of this, he receives his freedom and can finally access the main residence and go out. But the mutant spoils will still be distributed based on contributions, and the boy won't receive any of it. At the end of the meeting, the protagonist doesn't understand why he's not receiving anything after everything he did. So he goes to ask his father why this is happening, since he didn't cause any problems. But the old man is smart. He knows the boy kept the ogre's heart as his reward. Not knowing what to say, the protagonist thanks him for at least having permission to leave the house. Soon after, the gang boss appears wanting to talk to the boy. He says he kept his part of the deal and told the father about the boy's achievements, and he asks that in the future the boy remembers how much he cares. From a distance, Abel thinks it's been a while since he paid attention to his younger brother, and he hopes to talk to him at some point. The problem is that moment has already arrived, and he says it's some unknown ability that not even their father understands. And this leaves the protagonist confused about why he's suddenly spilling secrets out of nowhere. A little earlier, after the conference ended, Abel appears to praise his younger brother. He says the boy handled the battle very well, and that now he is a respected mage in the family. Then he asks if the boy has time later so they can eat together. He explains he wants to have a little gathering to hear the details of what happened during the forest next expedition. But the boy suspects the warrior has some hidden motive for asking about his achievements, and right away he starts revealing secrets that not even their father knew for no obvious reason. It's pretty clear he wants to recruit the protagonist to defeat the forces that Adolf created before it's too late. The protagonist has to choose his words carefully and asks why he knows this secret. He says he's afraid of what could happen as soon as something so big is exposed. As you would expect from an older brother, he clearly wants something from the boy in return, but being direct, the younger one says he's not really on the middle brother's side. Still, that doesn't mean he plans to join the good guys either. Time passes and we see Adolf giving his all with his dark powers. He finally discovers that his older brother went to have a little chat with 𝐂𝐨𝐵 too. This annoys the crime boss because he noticed the boy's talent first and doesn't want to lose that advantage. And if the protagonist switches sides, Adolf would rather poison him than let him become an enemy. Apparently, that's why the maid is in the mansion in case things like this happen. Back to the family conversation, 𝐂𝐵 wants to know why the youngest has been acting the way he has. Honestly, the protagonist says the older brother is too kind, which makes him embarrassed. When he activates his ability, he can't see much about the character since the level is too high. The only bad thing is that their relationship is neutral with 0 favor points. He keeps acting strange in front of the good blonde guy, who doesn't even know how to react, and the other one apologizes. Even though he was the older brother, he never had time to take care of the younger one before. Still, the protagonist forgives him since he used to act like a complete idiot, and that's why nobody liked him. 𝐂𝐵 laughs because the boy is genuinely very good at making clever jokes. He regrets not getting close to his smart brother before losing him to Adolf. And he says he can offer everything the other side is promising, and in even better terms. He doesn't want to give up on this deal and asks if there's still room to reconsider. This worries the boy, who asks if he will be eliminated if he joins the enemy's side. After all, Adolf is different, and he is cruel even to his own family. If he becomes a traitor, they will definitely use any method necessary to take him out. Even though he is a prodigy mage, he still doesn't have enough strength to protect himself on a daily basis. This is the first time anyone in the family gave 𝐂𝐵 such a deep reading on the crime boss. What's funny is that the man doesn't disagree with the assessment. He even stays silent, and this takes them back to the beginning of the conversation. When the protagonist says his useless ability is having very good intuition. Ever since he was little, he always had a bad feeling right before something horrible was about to happen. And whenever he listened to this instinct, he managed to stay away from dangerous situations. With the ceremony approaching every day, these feelings are getting stronger, especially regarding the evil brother. This ability seems like some kind of future sight, like the protagonist's intuition. And after ending up in the boy's body, he definitely developed a talent he didn't have before. Because of this, other NPCs are going through changes in the system that never used to happen. Even so, Adolf is family and the second direct heir of the market, so he can't simply cross the line. But the protagonist is there because he has a very bad feeling, and he kept it a secret until now. He trusts his instinct and knows that if Adolf becomes Marcus, the family will be finished and no one will be safe, including the young master. So his plan is to join the enemy's side and observe everything closely while gaining their trust. At the end of the operation, the idea is to hit them with everything he's got from behind. And if the good brother helps, things will be much easier, with a much higher chance of success. As the older brother, 𝐂𝐵 cannot refuse such a solid proposal from his brother and says he will help him. But first, the protagonist wanted a small favor to kick off the missions. Chapter 18. A few days ago, they found a bag of platinum coins, basically months of salary. The blonde guy wonders where all that money suddenly came from, but actually the protagonist got it thanks to 𝐂𝐵, who lent him some money. Besides being handsome, he's filthy rich, and he finances the mission the moment he hears the plan. And it's kind of crazy because no one knew the older brother was so generous. With this personal communicator, they will be able to talk without being in the same place. This kind of thing is so expensive that you could buy a mansion with a garden for the price of just one. This is just the basic version, and it only allows you to talk directly with one person. But there are even more expensive versions. It's pretty obvious that the meeting with 𝐂𝐵 went very well, and they joined forces in a plan. Meanwhile, the Guardian will need to keep the money until it's time to use it. They really don't have anywhere to spend it now, and the boy already wants to cultivate even more coins. It's like an investment plan for the future, the way a smart mage would think. At that moment, the maid is training with her spiritual magic staff. Pikachu can attach himself to the tip of her staff to light up the area. Unfortunately, the magic doesn't work, and she can't make the light shine. The pet doesn't want to leave the protagonist's head, and the protagonist thinks he's basically a headlamp. This makes the blonde guy think of something and wonder why they're inside a damn mountain. The last thing he remembers is them leaving home to visit a neighboring region, and then out of nowhere they ended up inside a cave because the protagonist decided to make a quick stop. This is not the kind of place they should stay for long, since exploring could hide all kinds of danger. It's so dangerous that he remembers the furious monsters they found at the cave entrance. The deeper they go go, the fewer they see, which is strange, meaning there's a big, tough boss at the end of this area getting ready for anything. He warns that they need to head back outside, but this was the protagonist's plan all along, and he says that's exactly what he's here for. Everything he said was true. He really does have business in the next city, but he also knew there was a dungeon on the way. If he had said from the start that they were going to a dungeon, no one would have let the protagonist leave the house because any of the brothers would insist on coming along somehow, and it would turn into total chaos. And there's also the matter of little Ural. Her magic spirit needs to be trained in secret, and only her father knows about her. Basically, if there were too many people around, he wouldn't be able to keep the loot all to himself. The problem is that the girl just started studying magic now, and the protagonist just reached level 2. This annoys the boy, who claims he only pretends to be weak to fool the suckers. Their group of 3 is already strong enough to face any big monster out there. On the team, there's a beefy tank, a gentle healer, and best of all, a damage mage who has everything under control. All proud, he says his master is already strong and will only get stronger in the future. Messing with the bodyguard? He asks who he will swear loyalty to in the end, to him or to his father. After all, a knight with 2 masters is not truly loyal to either one. This leaves the man speechless as he reflects on it. At this moment, the lion is following the Marquis's orders to keep the children safe, which means the knight is not really loyal to the Marquis. He needs to choose a true master. To win over this knight, just showing off his skills won't be enough. Once he is finally recognized, he will gain that impenetrable shield for his army forever. So the 3 together advance deeper into the dangerous labyrinth. Right at the end, they reach the boss room and he's there waiting. His name is the Secret Sanctuary Minotaur, the guardian of these walls. In the game, this place was popular among beginners for farming XP and money. And the best part is that the reward is super generous compared to how easy it is. As greedy as always, he doesn't want to share his treasure with anyone. This monster is known to be 3 times stronger than a normal ogre, but the mage is smart and already has a perfect plan to block and counterattack his moves. With the sword and magic of the 2, they manage to anger the Minotaur and lure it. It's a risky move and they have to dodge with perfect timing every second. Ideally, you dodge to the sides and avoid getting hit as much as possible. When the big guy gets tired, they will go in and attack, while others will give support. And since it's the girl's first fight, it's okay if she hides behind rocks to cast spells, but she wants to help as much as she can, and she didn't train magic just to hide. This makes the boy admire her even more. She's insanely brave. On this mission, her job is to heal and support the others to protect Lord Kyle. Actually, she is corrected. The most important thing is to survive until the end. As long as she doesn't fall, her hands will keep Leon and the protagonist standing. One last rule is not to forget to protect herself when things get dangerous. She understands and remembers she's inside a dungeon somewhere unknown, how important a healer is in a fight, and the strategy to defeat the Minotaur are things you only really learn from real experience. It's strange how the young man knows all this, considering he spent his whole life locked inside. Leon begins to wonder how he is so familiar with dungeon strategies. When they ask if it's his first time in a dungeon, he realizes he has been acting too much like a specialist. So he lies saying he picked up some basic tips during the goblin hunt when he fought the ogre. But this excuse doesn't work very well because not even the soldiers knew how to deal with the simple ogre. So the warrior concludes that kid is not the real Lord Kyle, the one he served for so long. He orders him captured because there's no way the child could suddenly act so mature. Clearly, the boy is possessed by an evil spirit and needs to be burned. Unfortunately, this would be game over for the protagonist, but this is all in his head and cannot happen. He changes the story and lies that he read about minotaurs in a book and also in strategy books. Surprisingly, the blonde guy likes this and is impressed that he studies battle tactics too. He gets so proud that he says his friend's progress is amazing. Their relationship improves greatly and it becomes easy to convince him. Still, he needs to come up with some excuse since he doesn't want to be labeled as a magic genius forever. Finally, she manages to make the staff shine like a protection charm. She activates a healing spell and it releases a bunch of spirits into the area. This power increases their HP and defense and also boosts their mana. And the sword's energy is much stronger than the original because the girl enhanced it. Now the three are super excited to fight because it's finally time to face the huge minotaur. The warrior goes first, running straight at it with his sword. His plan is to collide head-on with the minotaur to draw its attention and wear it down. He lands a heavy blow right on the beast's head, but this only makes the big monster furious and it gets up to retaliate. With his friend's magic, the warrior's body seems different, stronger. When the minotaur wakes up, it asks who is disturbing its sleep. Then it shouts that it won't forgive anyone trying to reach the treasure. To rub it even more in their faces, someone fires an ice spell right in its face in the middle of the sentence. Then the boy steps forward saying he was the one who did it. He fires a bunch of ice shots at the enemy. Taking advantage of the opening, the warrior delivers clean, precise cuts with his blade. He stays focused and proves he is a worthy knight of the team. And chapter 20. He lands powerful blows on on the monster's shoulder without losing focus. The monster can't believe it. It's shocked by this kind of audacity. It unleashes all its fury on the people who dare come close to its treasure, preparing for a deadly blow. It wants to finish them all off with no survivors. Luckily, the boy prepares magical ropes and rituals to protect himself. Having an attack blocked only makes the Minotaur even angrier, as if it's being humiliated. Still, the strength is insane, and the barrier appeared at the perfect moment to save him. 𝐂𝐨𝐵's magic is incredibly precise. He always knows the next move and ends up basically leading the fight. He reads the situation by instinct and uses magic like no one else. So, the young man is controlling the entire battle with his powers. Next, he pins the Minotaur with ropes that fix it to the ground. Right after that, a bunch of magic missiles hit the big idiot's back, and this causes so much damage that it falls to its knees. No one can believe the mage is this strong being so young. Not bad, but the Minotaur can still take a lot more. Pissed off, it roars that this is the end and activates its strongest move. It starts spinning like a tornado straight at the unprepared trio. At that moment, Leon has to hold the front line while the others move to the sides. Blessed with magic, he gets even more determined as he runs. He throws his sword with perfect aim, targeting the bull's neck. This is enough to pull it, full of fury, straight toward the fleeing knight. While all this is happening, the protagonist is counting the seconds in his head. Dodging is the best strategy to tire out the big monster. Once that happens, it will be the perfect chance to strike back with full force. 5 seconds remaining, and the beast is already starting to wear out. When the count ends from pure exhaustion, it misses by just a few centimeters and almost hits the knight. Well, at that moment, all the blessings pass, leaving the boy totally defenseless. Luckily, the bull stops moving and simply freezes there on the ground. It's amazing how 𝐂𝐨 calculated everything in his head. He intervenes to deliver the final blow. Pushing past his skill limits, he brings true magic back to the world. He creates ice spears and hurls them at the enemy. After the fight ends, the girl heals the warrior's wounds. Finally, it's time to grab the valuable treasure from that labyrinth. In front of them is a chest so shiny it seems enchanted. Using his intuition, 𝐂𝐨 sees the jewels and equipment inside the reward. The powerful sword is made of solid dinosaur bone artifacts. Also, a beautiful necklace, something spirits would definitely love. Each person receives what suits them, and now it's the mage's turn. Inside the treasure, he finds the Staff of Bravery, emanating this elegant aura. This is a trick that experienced players used when they want to build a super powerful mage build. With this choice, he won't have to worry about weapons for a long time. The warrior's sword is also amazing, with magical effects that make the risk worth it. He remembers the conversation about loyalty he had earlier with his young master. The maid feels very guilty because she thinks she's the only one receiving things from Cool. She wants to be useful without accepting treasures she could never pay back. The warrior agrees that these treasures are too expensive for anyone to use, but 𝐂𝐨 explains he's not giving them these things just as a reward. He's doing it to make them stronger. He says again, the stronger they are, the better their chances of survival. He also says there's not much time, and they need to increase the group's strength with a smart plan. Breaking family rules, he doesn't plan to report all these supplies so people don't find out how strong he's getting. Those two are the only ones he can trust to keep the artifacts safe. He repeats that the only way to survive is by getting stronger, so he asks if the duo, still a bit awkward about this, will really accept the gifts. After a successful mission, they return and decide to head to the neighboring city. Chapter 21. A few days before, something happened on the farms around 𝐴𝑚polium. The Count panics when he hears that someone from the Marquis family suddenly appeared at his castle. As he runs, he wants to know who it is, and notices the person carries the family lineage symbol. He knows the approaching succession is basically a storm about to hit, and there's this unspoken rule: don't get involved in another house's business. Before opening the door, he prepares himself because he really doesn't want this headache. Right away, he asks what brings the Marquis here to his lands. He is shocked to see that the visitor is already eating and is just a boy, apologizing for entering without permission. The boy says it's an honor to meet Frandel. It's a huge slap in the face for the Count's family, so he realizes the 𝐂𝐨 is that son everyone used to hate. At least his reputation as a troublemaker only started to change recently. After overcoming his illness, 𝐂𝐨 thought about how he had been acting and decided to seriously change. He says he is studying magic now and over time forming new circles. This is strange because the rumors about the youngest son said he was unbearable, but seeing him in person, the Count realizes those stories were false, like completely the opposite of the truth. In his mind, someone must have paid to spread those rumors to defame the family. It's impressive, the first mage born in a famous swordsman family, a sign of a bright future. In the end, the Count is eager to talk business and gets even more interested. Obviously, the boy didn't come all this way unannounced just to say hi. Apologizing, 𝐂𝐨 says he knows his family's situation is delicate because of the succession, and he explains he came to buy grain from the farms and stock the largest warehouse in the north. Actually, the Marquise's family already has a deal with the Count, and maybe they want to expand it. Now he says it's for magical research he cannot reveal. And even more, it won't be a one-time thing. The city definitely has more than enough products for the coming years and will make a lot of money from the sales. As payment, Kai shows a chest full of shiny coins, valuable anywhere. It's pretty strange for a boy his age to have spare platinum coins. Still, the Count sees no problem in doing the business, and he doesn't even ask what the research is about. Before closing, however, he wants to confirm where that money came from because the source could be suspicious, maybe even stolen. After all, the Marquise is just a boy, and that kind of money doesn't match his age. Luckily, his older rich brother is financing all this. If he is willing to spend so much, it means the two are very close. Abel is the most promising son in the family, calm and elegant. Doing this deal will also help score some points with the White Knight. Speaking of prices, each sack of grain costs 4 silver coins, so they spend some time haggling while the blonde stays quiet. After a long back and forth, they settle on 5 coins per sack. The bodyguard feels quite proud of the boy's negotiation skills, especially for his age. It turns out the protagonist learned all this by watching online bargaining sites in the real world. And part of the plan to go to Impelin was to make money and buy grain. It could be part of it. The idea is to buy as much as possible while it's cheap and sell when demand increases. But their estate already has enough food for a whole year, so it might not be that profitable. With knowledge of the future, he is preparing in case something happens in the coming months. A massive famine is coming according to the game's story, right after the succession. This will disrupt trade and make grain prices skyrocket. Even with all that money, people won't be able to buy food, and no one will care if you're old or young. Unfortunately, he can't tell his friend without revealing he knows the future. So far, everything the boy has done has worked out very well. So the blonde thinks this time it's probably a good idea too, increasing their relationship to 50, something that never happened before. It's super rewarding for the boy to see this progress, since they started in the negatives. A maid appears saying the Count wants to talk before dinner, and that he really shouldn't forget. When he arrives at the living room, he's informed that the man wants to introduce him to someone. Standing before him is Frontal's daughter with purple hair. She is very beautiful, and her name is Iris Neron. All this is a big surprise for the young man. He wasn't expecting a meeting like this. As he approaches, the girl says it's a pleasure to meet him for the first time, and introduces herself. In the game, she is super strong, beautiful, and very popular, especially in the beginning when she becomes a very useful powerhouse. The only problem is her arrogant personality. She can't stand weak people. She says she won't accept anything less than diamonds for a date. She has the greedy personality trait. Because of this trait, several players went bankrupt trying to increase their relationship with her. As power creep hit the game, S ranks became common, and she, who was supposed to be valuable as an A rank, ended up becoming useless and was discarded, since her difficult personality doesn't exactly make anyone want to deal with all that. It's also strange that the Count introduced his daughter to him out of the blue. All sly, he says they are almost the same age and should get along great. They are also studying magic, just like the protagonist. Still promoting his daughter, he says she has an exceptional talent for magic. He explains that since both are learning, they can study together. From the protagonist's point of view, she doesn't want this and seems like she's being forced. Still, he introduces himself, explaining he is the Marquise's 4th son. Trusting his instincts, he is really looking forward to receiving advice from her. When he checks her status, he sees that their relationship is at -40. Also, she has an interesting talent. She is a mana companion. In the original game, this talent is insanely rare. Only 0.01% of SSS ranks had it. So maybe the purple-haired girl also has some new potential. Even with her horrible personality, this talent changes everything. And she heard a lot about Lord Abel and Adolf, but nothing about the protagonist. Trying to belittle him, she says she is at the 2nd circle while he hasn't passed the 1st. This annoys him because she's been unpleasant since she was a child. But he explains he only started learning magic 3 months ago, forming a circle that fast beats her record. She took longer. Still, starting at 13 is considered very late since most people start at 10 at the latest. If he just thinks of her as a whiny cat, he can tolerate the annoying attitude. He says he started late because he used to have an illness and only recently managed to overcome it. This makes her stop right there because she knows how hard it is to break through that barrier. Her father explains that to overcome it, you need to be born with extraordinary mana in your body. That's why the people who manage it are called geniuses and prodigies. It's amazing that the young master achieved this at only 13 years old. He hopes that Iris can learn something from the good influences around her. Of course, she doesn't want to talk to someone she thinks is weaker, since she believes he is only 1st circle. This personality will cause a lot of problems and needs to be corrected as soon as possible. And that's how Recruitment Project 3 begins. You can't judge people by their appearance, and he will prove he's not weak. She panics when she sees the boy get very close to her face in a weird way. Ignoring the Count right there, he challenges her to a one-on-one duel. If he loses, he'll have no problem admitting he's weak weaker than her. In a twisted way, if the girl wins, she wants him to lick and kiss her feet. This leaves the Count completely embarrassed, wondering where she learned something like that. The boy is also shocked, not understanding what kind of book you'd have to read to find that. Apparently, she likes to read strange romance novels that are way above the recommended age range. Even so, the boy doesn't back down and says if he loses, he'll lick whatever she wants. That sentence, out of context, catches the Count totally off guard. Changing the terms, the boy says if he wins, he will be her new teacher in the future, and besides that, she can never speak badly of anyone with a lower rank again, and she has to promise that. And this makes her furious because she is conceited and knows that a first circle beginner couldn't beat her. Embarrassed, the Count admits his daughter has personality problems since she was spoiled from an early age. If things continue like this, it will be very hard for her to live in the world without getting into trouble sooner or later. At her age, she has no friends because of her bad reputation, so he asks the boy to forgive her since he also had a difficult childhood. It will definitely be a good learning experience for her, and he allows the two to duel. This gets the boy excited. He basically just needed the Count's approval to do what he wanted. On the other side of the mansion, she is still furious at the boy who thought he could beat her, but she is also confused because she thought he was pretty cute, and she decides she will make him lick her foot. The Count definitely has another reason for introducing his daughter to the protagonist. Even though she's only 11, she is already at the right age to start receiving marriage proposals. Maybe the guy is thinking of the two ending up together someday. In that world, nobles marry younger than commoners. Feeling disgusted, the protagonist realizes why the girl was suddenly placed in a meeting with him. Irritated, he says that if this is true, then he needs to crush her even more in the fight. Finding it wrong to marry someone with an unbearable attitude just for status, he decides to give it his all and try to correct her horrible personality. The maid is sad to hear about Lord 𝐂𝐨𝐽's marriage proposal with the girl. The next day arrives, and now it's time for the children's duel. The opponent has to be defeated using magic, but no one can get hurt in the process. If it starts, the fight will be stopped immediately. The judge will be the guardian. Since he is a famous and experienced knight, he won't make an unfair decision. The battle is announced, and the girl starts immediately with her fire wand, firing flaming arrows at the protagonist. For an 11-year-old child, her casting speed is very fast. Even so, the hero has the advantage and activates his wind power, deflecting the arrows from their trajectory. Using air to deflect the flames was a very smart move, and irritated, she says not to underestimate her magic power, she won't lose. Once again, she casts a fire spell, this time stronger. Luckily, the protagonist was ready and creates an energy dome to protect himself. Looking at everything calmly, he admits she is brave and seriously impressive. To counterattack, he initiates an energy ritual and asks if she can block it. This shocks the Count, who didn't expect the hero to be able to cast two spells at the same time. This kind of technique is super advanced, even for experienced mages, let alone someone who is level 1. At the last second, she manages to activate a shield spell that protects her from a blow that would have ended the fight, but her fire attack is absorbed by the wind. This starts to make her panic, and she has to cast more spells faster. Well, at that moment, the hero appears up close, holding his staff in front of her face in an intimidating way. This is basically the end of the fight, proving who is the better mage. The boy is thrilled while the girl is speechless at what just happened. She is furious about losing for the first time to a first circle mage. She screams that it was all luck and the victory doesn't count. Wanting a rematch, she says she wasn't in good shape for a moment. Still, the hero agrees because he knows the result won't be different. This only makes the purple-haired girl even angrier, and she says she will win this time. 5 rounds pass, and each one of them is won by Lord 𝐂𝐴. No matter how many times she tries, the result is always the same. So he says to end the fight, since she's probably out of mana now. She gets so mad that she starts crying in front of everyone. She throws a tantrum because she can't accept losing to someone weaker. Unfortunately, the protagonist made her cry. Maybe he was too harsh. That night, the Count gives him some new clothes to wear at the banquet. It's good to dress properly since it's a formal event and everyone will be dressed up. The guy seems friendly because even with his daughter crying, he still invites the protagonist to dinner. Since 𝐂𝐴 defeated Iris, he seems even more determined to bring the families closer, even though the girl is definitely hating the boy even more now. But the blonde guy doesn't notice and thinks from her expression that it's something else. He seems very experienced in many areas, but when it comes to romance, he understands nothing. In the end, his maid friend helps him get ready and finishes everything. He ends up looking super handsome and elegant, matching the outfit. When he receives compliments, he gets even more excited to go to the party. People expected 𝐂𝐴 to show up, and he thanks them for the invitation. They are happy to meet him, introduce themselves, and say who they are and which families they come from. The problem is that the princess is taking forever to arrive at this family gathering. Since he made her cry earlier, the protagonist thinks she won't want to see him again. Luckily, she finally enters the room, and she looks stunning, as always. She gets embarrassed when she meets the protagonist again. The same goes for him. He has no idea how to act in front of someone so beautiful. It's It's unexpected because he thought their friendship had been ruined forever. She already knew the boy was handsome, but dressed like this he looks even better. Now it's time for everyone to sit down and eat the house's delicious food. The protagonist sits next to Iris, not knowing if he should because of what happened earlier. When he activates his intuition ability, he notices that their relationship level has gone up a bit. He doesn't understand how their friendship jumped 30 points when he didn't even do anything. Maybe it happened because of one of her traits, so it's good to be ready next time. Luckily, the meal is much more pleasant than he expected. Even she acts calm in front of the family without being arrogant. But then there's a moment when she asks her older brother to pass the pepper, and immediately the protagonist hands her the nearest salt shaker he can see. At that moment, their hands touch, and she gets completely confused. Neither of them knows how to react, and they try to avoid looking each other in the eyes. Even though their relationship has improved, the girl's behavior somehow seems worse. The next day, the protagonist is surprised by a visitor who appears in his room. There stands Lady Iris calmly drinking coffee. She came to fulfill her part of the deal, becoming the protagonist's student. She is very curious about why the boy's magic is so powerful for someone who is only level 1. His magic style never appeared in any book and seems very different from the usual method. So she demands he tell her everything he knows about this new magic style, but he will only accept her as his student if she changes her attitude. So he asks her to be more polite and kind to other people, and more importantly to think twice before getting angry and running off crying. This irritates her because not even her father makes demands like that. So he explains that his magic really comes from a unique method, one he created himself. This hybrid magic method has never been published anywhere in the world, so there is no other place to learn it except with the inventor personally. And he knows a smart girl like her understands what it means to train with the creator. Even after thinking hard, she can't find any way to argue, so she accepts his terms. Smartly, the protagonist had already prepared everything in advance. He makes a magic contract with his own hands. Right in front of her, he has all the conditions written that she has to accept to become his disciple. All she needs to do is use that pretty pen to sign it. If the contract is broken, divine forces will ensure there is a horrible punishment. Admitting, he says he wouldn't have gone through all this trouble. The Count himself is the one who gave the contract to the hero. After the previous day's fight, he was eager for the lessons to begin. And if Iris won't listen to anyone, the magic contract can be used as a rare family treasure, and this really angers the purple-haired girl. And she can't believe her father really said that. Curious, she runs off, saying she will confront him and find out the truth. The problem is that if she leaves, their contract will be cancelled. If that happens, the magic will not be taught, and they will never see each other again. Oh, with no time to lose, she has to decide if she will accept the terms and be trained, or leave the room and never see the protagonist again. In chapter 25, she needs to decide quickly whether she will sign the document or not. Without patience, the boy will not tolerate this crying act for much longer. Even though her potential is high, he considers giving up because of her personality. After all, he needs reliable allies, not someone who needs constant pampering. After a long time hesitating, she agrees and says she will sign the papers. She slams the contract on the table, still irritated like a spoiled girl, but the protagonist warns her that she should read the conditions before blindly signing. He explains that Iris will be the student and he will be the teacher in this arrangement. On the paper, there are 7 rules written that need to be followed for the agreement to work. She was so nervous about the punishments that she didn't even notice they were pretty light requirements. But the 7th rule is very strict and requires her to actually fight sometimes. The hero asks why she really wants to learn magic. True to her personality, she says it's because she wants to be better than everyone else. She likes being praised and she finds it exciting to beat up the weak until they follow her rules. She wants people to admire her. So that's why she started studying magic. But lately she also started to like studying alone. And seeing her skills grow and get stronger is very fun. Because of this, she doesn't even notice when she spends the whole night reading books. It's motivating to see how competitive she is and how much she wants to improve. He confirms that the most important factor for becoming a powerful mage is not mana. A thirst for exploration and intellectual curiosity are what really drive magic. Those are the talents of someone with the mana companion ability, and she admits that ever since she started studying, she wanted to get stronger, and finally she signs the contract, agreeing to become his student. With the paper in hand, the protagonist says the deal is official. Smiling, he is excited to start working with the girl by his side, and he hopes that Iris will become a reliable companion in the near future. And this scares her because she interprets those words in a romantic way. After the conversation, she runs out of the room, embarrassed by what just happened. The boy really should be more careful with his words, especially because he's very handsome. Hearing this, the maid stays quiet in the background, watching everything. That same night, the protagonist spits out his water. Upon hearing a question about marriage, like, is he really going to marry Iris? The one asking is 𝐂𝐨𝐧𝐭𝐚𝐭𝐨, who doesn't show it, but seems a little jealous. He explains he doesn't even want to think about marriage yet, since he's 13. Irritated, he says everyone in that city is in a hurry to get married early. The world is about to end and there's no time to waste on love and marriages. So the maid understands that her master is not thinking about any of that now, at least not until he turns 18. Out of nowhere, the girl says her mother used to be very beautiful. So when she grows up and becomes a true young lady, will she be beautiful like her too? When she leaves, the boy ends up alone, embarrassed, not even knowing what just happened. The children in that place are very mature and already worry about marriage things. When she grows up, she will be even more beautiful than she already is, because even now she is gorgeous. And then he starts thinking a little more about who 𝐴𝐴𝐴's mother was, a woman who originally came from a noble family, before being sold as his slave. Unfortunately, her father and brothers have already died, but her mother and sister are missing. The girl is definitely worried, but probably feels too guilty to ask her friend about it. Still, the boy decides that someday he should investigate it. Some days pass, and it's finally time to go home. Iris's family is at the gate, saying goodbye elegantly. Strangely, the girl wishes the teacher had stayed a few more days at her house. Luckily, next month, he will return to teach the magic he promised. Spoiled as always, she says that next time he comes back, she won't even bother opening the door. But as she says this, she collapses on the ground with intense stomach pain. This was one of the master's rules. Think carefully before getting angry. Her father warns her, saying she needs to calm down until the pain passes, and unfortunately, it doesn't work, and she spends hours in pain because she acted spoiled. From afar, it sounds like music to the boy's ears, since he kind of benefits from the situation. As soon as he returns from the city, he notices his older brother came to see him. No one mentions the grain stocks for the future great famine. Smartly, he trusts his brother's instincts. His brother also bought some with his own money, like about 1,000 times more goods than the boy bought. Even if he loses all that money, he won't worry or blame anyone. Nervous, the hero knows he won't lose any money, and that he will, in fact, make a huge fortune. On a training field, the Mage is honing his sword skills, and suddenly his son appears with some towels for him to dry off. So the curious Mage asks how the trip was, and it ends up being quite comfortable. It turns out the old man had received news from the Count and found out that his son will be teaching magic. In a way, this experience will be very good for the boy, and he should give his all as a teacher. Still curious, he asks if the Count mentioned anything else. A marriage was mentioned, but luckily their family doesn't have the tradition of forcing it so early. Not even the older family members are married, so the youngest doesn't need to worry yet. Since he was sick for so long, he needs to hurry and make up for lost time. And the father says he will be the one to take care of the whole marriage matter, and this is a huge relief for the boy, since he won't be held back by annoying things like that anymore. Sheathing his sword, the Marquis says he never planned to force his son into a political marriage, especially because he himself never officially married the boy's mother. Luckily, he admits she never wanted it when she was pregnant. She said she was happy with how things were and didn't want anything formal. She didn't want to stress about status and was fine just being his woman. Even her friends approved of their relationship. Somehow she felt guilty and thought the situation was kind of wrong. She said she didn't need a formal title, as long as she had a husband and children to take care of, and that it was the man's job to protect her and whatever children they had because he loves them so much. He promises he will do that and give them all the love he has. Even though he hasn't done much for his son until now, he will support him as best he can. He also promises to support him in whatever he wants from now on, and this shocks the young man, since it's strangely unexpected to see that grumpy old man acting like a sentimental and sweet father. Also, if the protagonist marries the powerful daughter of another family, it could cause a huge conflict. The old man values family above all, and wants to avoid problems like that. And for now, it's important to keep the innocent child act a little longer. Ending the conversation, he says he needs to go back to studying in the library. The whole scene was super weird, and the young man doesn't even call him father. Looking at the pendant, he wonders if the woman still holds any resentment. Walking through the hallways, the protagonist thinks about everything he just heard. He remembers he should have mentioned the spoils he got in the dungeon. He told his guardian not to report anything to the Marquis until he had the chance to explain. He never thought much about it, and now it's time to go to the library without fear of the future. Well, at that moment he bumps straight into another noble walking down the hallway. In front of him is the third son of the family, 𝐿𝐿. The strange thing is that he seems to have grown since the last time they talked, even though he is 2 years younger than the protagonist. His build is much more like a knight's. There are even rumors that the boy recently became a low-level warrior. 𝐿𝐿 is surprised because the last thing he heard about his brother was that he couldn't even leave his room. Luckily, that restriction was lifted and his contributions were recognized. But 𝐿𝐿 still doesn't trust him and thinks this is all some kind of scheme. This annoys the protagonist and starts this kind of rivalry. The third brother genuinely hates the protagonist because his mother died due to the stress of 𝐂𝐿𝐴's childbirth. When he entered the room, the only thing he could see was the woman's body, already frail and completely exhausted. The only thing 𝐂𝐴 could say was that the old woman died before him. Obviously, this made 𝐿𝐿 lose his mind. He threw him against the wall, cursing him non-stop. Their mother worried about 𝐂𝐿𝐴 all day because he wouldn't stop causing problems. He was always picking fights and trying to steal money from home for fun like a nasty brat, saying the protagonist protagonist was responsible for their mother's death. The two start arguing about what happened. Kylo defends himself by saying he is basically terminally ill and always gets blamed for everything. Crying, he asks who brought him into the world with such a weak body. This is enough for Juk to explode, and he throws a punch. Rill falls to the ground and stays there, unable to get up. Leaning down, Juk says he held back his anger while their mother was alive, but not anymore. And he says he wouldn't like a brother like Kaio, not even in another life. All these memories slowly come back to the protagonist. Unfortunately, he realizes this conflict won't be easy to resolve. Juk keeps insisting he knows the boy's rotten nature better than anyone, and he orders him to never show up at the main house again, basically ignoring the rules. Once again, Kyle says the family had lifted the prohibitions and gave him access to the entire property. So, all snobby, he asks if Juk seriously thinks he's better than the family head himself, the Marquis. Totally irritated, the warrior clenches his fists, about to throw a brutal punch. At that moment, the fight is interrupted by Adolf, who appears at the perfect moment. He scolds Juk, saying you don't hit your own family, but Juk is so furious he can't bring himself to apologize to Kaio. He could, but he'd rather just leave first. Observing him walk away, Adolf asks, where did all this stupidity come from? Juk is not like this with everyone. It's because of Kaio's tragic past. Now, somewhat suspiciously, Adolf approaches the boy and says he trusts him. Also, Adolf has been teaching Juk swordsmanship, and he is disappointed that Juk is only mediocre. And he knows that Kylie is a powerful mage with much more potential than Juk. As if playing chess, Adolf says he can discard him if he gets in the way. Ending the conversation, Kel says he needs to go to the library to continue studying, and he suspects his brother is not just an ordinary warrior, but someone with hidden talent. Adolf is not the type who cares about family, and he wouldn't go to all this effort just to mess with him. In the game, Juk never survived the rebellion. No matter which route you chose, maybe there's some secret about him that no one knows. So the story switches to a small quiet town in the middle of the forest. There, the Guardian is walking with a package in his hands. He says Kyle behaved very well on the trip and did what everyone wanted, but the Marquis wants to know if anything else happened on the way to the city. This puts the Guardian in a difficult situation because he doesn't know whether to speak or keep the secret. Still, he remains loyal to the boy and says only a few small monsters appeared. With the Guardian traveling alongside his son, the old man can always relax on these trips. For a moment, he decides to put Kay's wishes first and keep the secret. It turns out he went to that city to find his father. The two spend a good time talking while fishing, catching up. Rumors that the protagonist has matured have already reached the village. This makes the warrior happy, and he praises how responsible his protege has become. Originally, he planned to fulfill his duty as a guide and then return to the Knights, continuing his career. But something changed recently, and it left him quiet. Maybe the boy's plans have changed, but he's still not sure. At the camp, the protagonist says the warrior's old sword is weak and needs to be replaced. If he put all his strength into one blow, it would definitely break because the blade is too fragile. He knows this because he studied a bit, and a mage needs to know the basics. Even though he learned all this by gaming in the past, he can tell when someone needs a new sword. Since he is just a guardian, he never had the chance to earn a new blade on merit. And smiling, the protagonist says Leon Hart is his knight and deserves this kind of thing. This hits the blonde right in the feels. He had never heard words like these from the Marquis. Although he's loyal to the old man who showed him trust, he still can't fit in with the nobles. His father knows he has always been the type who thinks before acting, and he is sure his son will figure things out. Before his son became a knight, they were nobles, but they didn't have money to pay for a tutor. Luckily, when he was 15, he got into the academy on skill alone. Deep down, he probably already knows what he wants to do. He just hasn't fully figured it out yet. They don't need to worry, since the Marquis is not the type of person who demands payment. The assessment is correct. He's the boy's personal knight, and he cares a lot about him. At that moment, a fish bites the hook and starts pulling. The night falls. In the palace, Adolf is scared by something. He wants to know if Kylie accepted the good brother's recruitment offer. The Guardian lies, saying he didn't accept, and says he was surprised that Abel wanted to talk about it. He also says it was scary, since he had never had that kind of conversation with him before. Dude, the crime boss brother is just an opportunist, trying to act like he cares. After all, when Kai was sick, Abel didn't even care that he existed. Adolf thinks about this, irritated that his recruit was almost stolen. With Jerome gone, he can't afford to lose even more strength from the army. Even if it's just a first circle boy, it's still better than nothing. The boy knows that neither of them appeared in his life when he was sick, and approaching him is much more obvious, making it clear that he sees the boy's value. To survive and defeat the forces of evil, he needs the power of that swordsman family. Adolf starts wondering why they are buying so much grain from the farm in the neighboring city. They explain that the boy bought it it for magic research, but he doesn't understand why the knight bought some too. Acting like he doesn't care, he says it's good that Kylie is focusing on studying magic. For the villain, it's a good thing if the boy grows strong, so he can be useful later. After placing a book in his hands, he says he will need to leave. Hearing all this, the maid was standing near the door, watching through a crack. Suddenly Daisy appears, saying she didn't become a spy by choice. She explains that her family was taken hostage and the crime boss is a horrible person. Without saying much, 𝐿𝒏𝒄𝒊 tells her to never show her face in front of Kaio again. And honestly, the maid seems lucky not to have any more living family members for someone to use against her. That sentence gets to the girl, and she can only stay quiet. Since she has her pet and her lord, she feels like she is surrounded by friends now and is no longer alone, and she thinks it would be very hard to ask her master to search for her missing family. And she knows what happens to women sold at the market. If Kyle hadn't saved her, it would have been her. Her main goal is to become powerful to honor the people who saved her. The little boy is training his fire ability while the maid watches from a distance. He fires flame bursts at a straw target. The hit is so strong that it explodes the target and spreads debris across the arena. The attack is already at the second magic circle, and his proficiency is at 100%. She approaches all happy because her friend is giving his all in magic training. But he still needs to go to a city called Pranos to recruit a new talent. The blonde guy gets irritated and doesn't want to go to that city at all. The place is known for drinking, gambling, and even heavier things. Pranusia is an entertainment and pleasure city that is basically off limits. The last time the protagonist was there, he gambled at the casino, lost all his clothes, and ran away before he could be sold at the people market. This time, he wants to go there for other reasons, not just fun and gambling, but the goal is even worse, because the arena is a forbidden zone. Irritated, he orders Kaio to stay in the mansion and not try to escape to the city. Being smart, the maid thinks about putting medicine in the man's soup to make him fall asleep. This will be a big problem for the protagonist, who can't waste any more time on this. He only has one chance to track the person's movements accurately. 𝐶𝑖RUN is the playable protagonist, and as the main character, he has very good attributes. His strength is already proven, and if the protagonist can recruit him, it will be a huge help against evil. The problem is, the boy is inside the underground arena in the casino city. On one side are the undefeated champions of the arena. On the other, the demonic sword makes its entrance. No one can believe that scrawny little boy is the famous one everyone is talking about. Even though he looks weak and skeletal, he can defeat anyone using only that sword. They say the boy's personality changes the moment he touches the weapon. He charges straight at the men and they start running like a psychopath. He says none of them will leave alive and immediately eliminates one. With the entire arena being splattered, he asks who is next, and choosing a target, he begins to cut down everything he sees in front of him. As expected, the demonic sword gets yet another insane victory. All he can think about is killing others and spilling even more red everywhere. Suddenly, he drops the sword and collapses on the ground. Mentally exhausted, he spends his days locked in a cage, being watched by everyone. It seems like he's about to pass out and maybe even die. They let him recover on his own since his body hasn't fully developed yet. For everyone, it's shocking that such a young boy is so good with a sword. His story is unknown, and no one knows of any living relatives. He is the same age as the protagonist, and he is in the arena, known as the demonic sword. If he joins the team, he will become a great talent. The family is having an amazing banquet with all kinds of meat. The friends keep joking around and end up leaving the blonde guy totally confused. That very night, they sneak out of their rooms before the guardian wakes up. The plans seem perfect. Now they just need to run through the hallway and disappear. But then, the guard is already awake and wants to know why they are trying to run away. He is so perceptive that he realizes they put sleeping pills in his food. It doesn't even make sense that he's still awake, since that pill could knock anyone out for hours. The blonde guy asks what they are planning to do when they escape the mansion. As a maid, 𝐿𝒏𝒄𝒊 should have stopped her master from doing this kind of thing, but defending her, the protagonist says he was the one who convinced her, so she shouldn't be blamed. Lately, security in the game city has gotten worse since their last visit. Nowadays, it's a violent place and it's not safe for young girls to walk around there. Even though the guy they protect is so strong, he could destroy the city alone. But that's exactly what the hero wants, to cause a huge scene. Being honest, he says he can't do it alone, and he wants to take down the arena with his own hands. His plan is to free all the gladiators kept there, and he needs help. It's sudden, but he's been thinking about it for a while and can't stand seeing children suffer. This really gets to the blonde guy who thinks it's a good cause. Some days pass, and they find themselves inside a casino. At a blackjack table, the protagonist gets a royal straight flush. With one great hand after another, the lord keeps winning at the table. Before they entered the casino, the blonde guy didn't let 𝐿𝒏𝒄𝒊 go with them on this job. Unfortunately, they can't go straight to the arena. They will have to lure the enemy out. The Viscount's son appears. His name is Charada, or a ton of money. He wants to play a different kind of game with the maximum bet. Understanding the hint, the protagonist asks if there is some kind of game that is a little more fun. Ooh, fun in the sense of blood and screams. And that's exactly what is a few meters below where they are. The protagonist's plan is to win a few rounds first, to get the friend in a good mood, then lose everything at the end. 𝐿𝒏𝒄𝒊 gets a little uneasy because he heard rumors that the boy boy had changed, but no, he's still the same. The news that Kaio was coming spreads, and the Viscount finds out about it immediately. It's probably nothing. He's just here to gamble and spend money. So, 𝒏𝒏 reassures his father, saying he can handle it and control the soccer alone. His theory is that the protagonist got tired of pretending to be nice and ran away from home to gamble. His plan is to squeeze the young man for every last penny. Not just anyone can enter that place, and he pretends he's doing him a favor. And yeah, this will definitely make the Lord happy because it has everything he wants. The plan is going very well, and the boy seems excited, but he doesn't say that he's excited because he's about to destroy that entire place. Bam, here's our plan.